I didn't block her. I didn't send a goodbye message. I didn't yell or slam the door on my way out. I simply walked away. Because when your spirit grows weary of holding on to someone who won't hold on to you, you stop searching for closure. You start searching for peace. And that's what I chose. Peace, not because my feelings disappeared, but because I finally began to value myself. I assumed she had replaced me, that she had moved forward without a second thought, that my absence barely echoed in her world. Until one night, I saw her outside my apartment, drenched from the rain, silent, standing there with her arms full of things I once thought she'd discarded. Ours wasn't some explosive love story. It was quiet, steady, and familiar. The kind of love that grows in 2 a.m. conversations and shared grocery runs where you instinctively grab each other's favorite cereal. She knew it all. My fears, my history, even the way I held my breath when I was close to falling apart. And yet, somehow, that still wasn't enough. She started drifting slowly. First came the long silences, then the growing distance, and eventually, the aching realization that I was the only one still trying in something that was supposed to be shared. I asked her once, gently, what had changed. All she said was, "I don't know." And somehow, that hurt more than any dramatic fight or tearful confession. That cold indifference, that shrug of apathy, cut deeper than words ever could. So I let her go. I didn't beg. I didn't bargain. I didn't stick around for her to offer me scraps and call it love. I packed my belongings and left the key on the kitchen counter. And with each step I took away from that apartment, from her, I could feel the weight slowly lifting. I told myself that solitude, even if it stung, was still better than feeling isolated while lying beside someone who no longer saw me. In the days that followed, I began the slow process of healing. Mornings filled with quiet. Books I never found time for. Walks with no need to check in or explain where I was going. But healing isn't instant. Peace isn't something that just shows up. It's a choice, one you have to make again and again. Every time your heart aches for what once hurt it. And yes, there were moments I thought of her. Moments where I wondered if someone else got the version of her that I could never seem to reach. I tried to convince myself it didn't matter. She made her decision, and I made mine. Then came that night. It was late. Rain was tapping softly against my window. I was in the kitchen, brewing tea, a habit I'd picked up to calm myself when the silence felt too heavy. Then, a knock. Not loud. Not rushed. Just there. I opened the door, expecting a delivery or maybe a neighbor. Instead, there she stood. Soaked, exhausted, eyes swollen like sleep hadn't found her in days. She didn't speak. She simply held out a small box. Inside, I found pieces of myself I thought were long gone. A key. A wrinkled concert ticket. A birthday note I once wrote her. And a photo of us, both of us laughing. The kind of laughter that can't be faked. "I'm not here to ask for anything," she said, her voice shaky. I just didn't know where else to turn. I stepped aside, letting her in. She hesitated, drenched and uncertain, like a stranger wandering into a place that once felt like home. We sat quietly for what felt like hours. Finally, she broke the silence. "I never replaced you," she murmured. "I thought you did," I replied softly. She shook her head slowly, struggling to explain. "I tried, really tried, to forget, to fill the emptiness you left behind. But nothing worked. No one felt like home." Her voice trembled as she continued. "I didn't realize how loud the silence was without you until you were truly gone." I looked at her carefully, really looked. Not the image I had held on to after I left. Not the villain or the ghost. Just her, vulnerable, full of regret, and genuine. "I hurt you," she admitted quietly. "Not by what I did, but by what I stopped doing. I stopped showing up. I stopped trying. And by the time I understood, you had already walked away. Tears gathered in her eyes. I don't blame you. I wouldn't have stayed either. Reaching into her jacket, she pulled out a folded letter. I wrote this the night you left, she said, but I couldn't send it. I didn't think I deserved to. She placed the letter gently on the table. I don't expect forgiveness. I just needed you to know I never stopped loving you. I just forgot how to express it. I said nothing, not because I lacked feeling, but because my emotions overwhelmed me. There were no dramatic speeches or stirring music, just two people sitting together in the quiet space between what was and what might be. Slowly, she rose. I'll go now, she whispered. I'm sorry. She turned toward the door but paused before stepping out. Even if you never speak to me again, thank you for choosing peace. It reminded me of what I lost when I stopped choosing us. With that, she left. I didn't follow her, not because I didn't care, but because some moments need to settle in your chest before you know how to carry them. Hours later, I read the letter. Each word was like a fresh bruise I hadn't realized was still healing. She wrote about fear, self-sabotage, and the guilt of being loved completely but not knowing how to return that love. At the end, she wrote, If peace is what you've found, I hope I never disturb it again. But if there's a part of you that still remembers us, I'll be here, not to fix everything, but to be real, this time. I don't know what comes next. I don't know if she meant it. I don't know if I'll ever open that door again, or if peace and love can truly coexist. But one thing I do know, sometimes the people who break you come back carrying the pieces they didn't even realize they'd lost. And it's up to you to decide whether gathering those fragments will heal you or hurt you further. If this story finds you in a quiet moment, share it. Leave a comment if you've ever chosen peace over pain. And tell me, what would you do if the person who walked away returned holding everything you thought they'd forgotten? Because sometimes, love doesn't end, it just goes silent until it finds the courage to speak again.